everybody. So yesterday I did a community post about that takeoff guy from Migos that got shot or whatever. And I feel like I did that post like a day ago already. And basically what I was talking about was how for weeks people have been doing videos constantly, it seems like, about who contributed what to hip hop. Was it black people? Was it Puerto Rican people? Was it Jamaican people? Everyone from the Caribbean. Da 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 da, right? And people have been arguing about this back and forth. And I was saying to myself when I saw that this Takeoff kid got shot, I was like, and this kind of reminded me of even when I went and I did my video a month ago. It's why I didn't take it that seriously, and why I still don't take it that seriously. It's because if we're going to be talking about and arguing about who did what and who contributed what, who created what, then we better be ready to take accountability for the negative shit that's coming along with it, right? And that's kind of like one of the things that I've always felt about hip hop. Even when I did like the origins of hip hop video, like a couple of years ago, I did that. It wasn't like, the greatest quality video, was kind of janky or whatever. But yeah, even at that point, it's like, look, we partook in it as, New Yorkers or whatever. But one of the things that I kind of feel like when it comes to this genre is like, look, it may have started off one way, and old heads can be like, oh, it didn't start off this way, and they could try to like separate themselves from it because now it's, evolved into something completely different. But look, you can't separate yourself from it. Like, if you fucking contributed to the creation of something, then you need to contribute to all of it, in my opinion. And if it's something that is being really destructive to your community, and then not just rappers, this is just, it's destructive to everybody within the community, then you need to partake in that too. You need to, take accountability for that too. That's just my opinion. And one of the other things that I had wrote in the post was, you don't see New Yorican rappers, like dying. It's not New Yorican rappers that you see dying every fucking feels like every week that these rappers are getting killed. It's Black American rappers. Why? Because there's not that many Puerto Ricans or even Latin people within, the rap scene like that, right? So, I kind of feel like, even though I'm Puerto Rican from New York or whatever, and I can talk about, yes, we had the contributions, yes, or whatever, we, to an extent we were there, from the early days, right? But at the same time, there's people that make it seem like, we're so, a part of that culture, and it's our culture, and we're the same thing, and da 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 da. Like, if that's the case, then why aren't there more Puerto Ricans from New York in rap? There's not that many, right? So we gotta also be realistic. So yes, we contributed. Yes, we contributed with breakdancing and all that, and even with rap, right? But it's not like, we were the fucking forefront of it either. So I kind of feel like some people are really disingenuous about that. And another thing, again, it's hard to take it seriously because so much negative stuff comes along with that genre. There's so much negativity that comes from it that at the same time it's like, okay, fine, we can be proud of it. But there's also a huge part of me that has a lot of shame with it too. And I say that even though it's like, I'm not somebody that fucking, made that type of music. I never rapped or anything. I used to listen to it a lot more when I was a kid. I would say that I really stopped listening to hip hop 20-something years ago for the most part. I listened to stuff here and there, but I was really into it when I was younger. I'm really not that into it right now. And also I was somebody that was always listening to different types of music. I was always exposed to different types of music. Like I said to everybody before, my mother's whole side of the family married white people for the most part. So, I grew up on a lot of quote unquote white music, if you want to call it rock music, right? My stepfather was white American, and he exposed me to lots of 60s, 70s rock, even 80s, 90s, right? So, and I'm laughing right now because right now my husband has my son, and my son is downstairs, and I don't know if you can hear him, but he might be hearing me talking right now, and he's going, Mom, Mom. He's so cute. So I'm like trying not to run downstairs. And I know the minute that I do that, then I'm not going to be able to finish this, right? This is like my third take trying to do this video. I tried doing this video 2 times and I was, in front of the camera and everything. The lighting was bad. I broke my ring light. Oh my God. So I was like, you know what? Let me just try to do it this way and see if I like the way it comes out better. So it's hard to take it seriously. And it's also like, is this what we're really proud of? Look at what this music has evolved to. We're really proud of it. So to an extent, right? Hip hop has influenced so many different people around the globe. You got it's impacted, parts of Asia. It's impacted freaking Africa, different parts of like Europe, of course, Latin America, right? It's impacted Latin America. So it really has impacted a lot of people. Okay. But at the very same time, the people who seem to be suffering the consequences of hip hop the most are the inner cities of this country. Right? Those are the people that are affected by it the most. When we want to talk about gun violence and all that shit, right? And it's so crazy with the gun violence, especially now, right, where I live. And, I said it before, I'll say it again. Like, I live in like a very like country, white community. And these people are like country to the core. Okay. They listen to country music and everything. These are some gun-toting white American people that I live around. Everybody around, all of my neighbors, they all have shotguns. They all have rifles. They all hunt. Okay. They all have taxidermy in their houses and everything. This is like that life that they live. And these people aren't around shooting each other. Everybody is armed out here. Everybody. In these inner cities, people aren't armed like that. It is not easy to get a gun like that. And some people will argue that, yes, it is. And da-da-da-da-da, if you're connected to this and this and that. Look, bullshit. All right. People get guns. They're not as easy to come by the way some people make it sound. Okay. So not everybody is armed in the city like that. But out here, everybody is. But people in the city are the ones that are getting shot up left and right. And you would think that in an area like this, these gun-toting areas, that people would be freaking blowing each other's brains out. Thank God they're not, But that's not happening. And a lot of it to me, when we go back to the music and how negative it is and what it's, evolved to, I think of like, something that people don't really talk about is frequencies in music and then lyrics and what these things can do. And I feel like I've always felt like some of these things, these frequencies, these lyrics, these, percussions in music, these beats, they affect certain people in certain ways. And I've always felt like that ever since I was younger. Okay. And I know that, maybe, people may not agree with that or whatever, but I really do believe that because there was a point in time, and it may not necessarily be now, but I remember there was a point in time where white Americans were the largest consumers of hip hop music. When you would watch back in the day when I was younger, I can't speak for now, but back when I was younger and I would watch these concerts, like on MTV or whatever, when people used to do that, right? The crowds in the audience were all packed with white people. Those were the biggest people freaking buying the music at the time. And their communities weren't, going crazy, getting shot up and crazy with all this gang shit, right? And a huge part of me has always felt that life imitates art. Everybody always says art imitates life. And I've always felt the reverse with that. And I feel like as time has gone by, especially with rap, it's just gotten worse. And the violence just keeps getting worse. More and more rappers are dying all the time. It's not just rappers, more and more people in these hoods are just dying all the time, And, I do believe that the lyrics and the frequency and the stuff like that has a lot more to do with it. And then you combine that with, I know I'm kind of going all over the place. People's attention spans are getting shorter. The songs themselves are getting shorter. Back when I was younger and I used to listen to rap music, I feel like songs used to be almost 10 minutes long. Nowadays, a song is like not even 3 minutes long. And it's like the time spans of songs are getting even shorter. So it's like you're listening to more to the same song more than you would back in the day with the longer songs. I don't know if I'm making any sense with that, but you're listening to the same song more because it's a shorter song. So you're getting that programming more. You know what I mean? Again, this is just my, my theories with this stuff. And I always kind of go back to like, look, we need to take accountability as a people, and we need to, if we're going to talk about, how this stuff is affecting our communities, we are now the parents, people my age, people, of course, younger than me, because there's lots of, parents that are younger than me, and people who live in the inner cities or whatever. It's your guys' responsibility to expose your children to different things, different music, different cultures if you can. You may not be able to get out of the hood like that to travel. You may not have the money, but expose them to different music. That doesn't cost you anything. All of that is free. Expose them to country music, for God's sakes. I know people may not want to listen to country. Expose them to rock. Expose them, if you're Puerto Rican from New York, expose your children to fucking salsa music. Back in the early 70s, when I think of Puerto Ricans in New York, I think of my dad when he was in a salsa band. I don't think of Puerto Ricans and rap music. I think of salsa. That's what we were fucking doing at that time, for the most part. And I'm repeating that on purpose, because yes, there were some who were involved in the hip hop culture, but not to the degree that they were involved in the salsa culture. That was really big for Puerto Ricans in New York at that time. Expose your children to that. Expose your children to freaking bachata, different Latin music. I'm just, naming shit, right? Rock music, pop music, anything, just other things. Because they're not always going to go venture out and look into that for themselves. And sometimes, especially when I was growing up in the hood, I think things have changed a lot with this. But when I was growing up in the hood, people wouldn't even want to say that they listen to different types of music other than Spanish music and like rap music and R&B. They wouldn't even want to tell anybody that they listen to other types of music because they didn't want to be looked at as quote unquote weird. So fucking what if you looked at weird? You look at weird just because you listen to different types of music? What the hell is wrong with people? And I was always open with that. Even when I was younger, that I listened to different types of music. I listened to rock music. When I was listening to grunge music as a child, kids in my neighborhood weren't listening to grunge. And if they were, they weren't telling anybody. You know what I mean? Which was probably the case. They probably were listening to it too, but they probably just were too scared to tell anybody because they were afraid to be judged just because of that, just because they were listening to something different and trying something outside of the box and outside of what, was popular in the neighborhood, And, we have to stop that. And I think that that's, the best thing that we can do. Because I think that a lot of these young kids think that the way to get out of the hood is fucking become an athlete or get into rap or get into music or become a singer or fucking twerking. And like, no, man, there's other things out there. There's other cultures out there. Experience different things. But if you don't expose your children to different things, and if you don't let them feel that it's okay to expose themselves to different things, to different cultures, to different types of music, and you don't shame them for it, let them think and be outside the box. Let them. Because everybody else, especially in this country, everybody wants to just do nothing but put you in a box. Try to have them think outside of the box. And let me tell you, that's the best way to go, because that's usually what's going to get them out of the hood. That's what's going to get them out. Because if you keep them trying to be like everybody else and you want them to conform and you want them to just be, just involved in the culture and Latin culture and in the culture within their neighborhood, which is, usually involves hip hop culture, right? You're really, really depriving them of a lot. Yes, Latin culture could be vast, but you know what? If you expose them to Latin culture, hip hop culture, and all of other American culture and all of other cultures, if you can. If you're in New York City is the melting pot of the world. I'm just using New York City as an example because I'm from New York City. There's people that grew up in New York City when I was younger and they didn't know anything outside of their hood. Nothing. People from, for example, certain people from certain parts of Brooklyn, they didn't know anything outside of their part of Brooklyn. Certain people from the Bronx, they didn't know anything outside of the Bronx. They wouldn't even venture out to other parts of New York City. And New York City has everything practically. You're exposed to all different types of people, all different races of people. Everything is there. Expose your children to that. Let them feel okay with being around that. And that's just my take on all of this, you know. We could always talk about how sad it is with these rappers or whatever, but, you know, we do have to take accountability. And you know, when you're hearing all these arguments back and forth with people with the fucking hip hop stuff, ask them, okay, you know, you're arguing if you contributed, you're arguing who created it, you're arguing, and now are you going to argue for, you know, its repercussions? Are you going to argue for, okay, you know, we partook in this and we created this, but we also have to admit that we're helping to create the result of all of this. You have to do that too. All of it comes together. And, you know, and I'm speaking specifically to Puerto Ricans in New York who, you know, might feel slighted, or even Caribbeans from New York who might feel slighted about this whole hip hop stuff. You know, I don't feel that slighted, to be honest. I don't, you know, because I have, you know, different views on it. And at the same time, I feel like there is a level of shame to it. You know, there's pride because of how much it's influenced the world, right? But then there's a shame because when you got people freaking getting shot up all the time because of what the music promotes, and because I believe that life imitates art, and there's people freaking mimicking what they're hearing in these songs to an extent, that's not something to really be proud of. Okay? It's just my opinion. Yeah, I really don't think I have that much more to say about it. Again, this is not the way I wanted to do this video. I wanted to have it like in front of the camera, but I just feel like I feel like a whole lot more comfortable now. I was really hot when I was recording the video, and I just like my hair was out, and I just feel so uncomfortable. And I'm like, I do not feel like being in front of the camera like this, you know? It was just really uncomfortable. So I'm glad that I did it like this. And yeah, I don't know when I'm going to record again. I wanted to get this out because, like I said, I did the community post like a day ago, and I wanted to, you know, put something up because I said that I will talk about it. And I did that on purpose for myself, to be like, okay, you have to find a way to put out a video. You know, I have to find time. I have to make time for myself. Anyhow, I'm going to go for now, and I will see you all in my next one. I don't know when I'm going to be making something else, but yeah, hopefully soon. But I'm going to go for now, and I guess I'll see you all in my next one. Take it easy, guys. Bye.